This Thursday, November 30th, NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Bet Rivers. Claim your risk-free bet up to $500 over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betrivers. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betrivers. And we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Thursday, November the 30th, currently 11:02 on the East Coast. Here to get into the NBA schedule on this Thursday night. And joining me here to help me break it all down, I got the Don of the NBA Gambling Podcast here with me. As usual, it's Ryan, Rich Fat Baby McKee. McKee, what's going on, brother?
I'm so excited to be back after the holiday. We didn't get to do this last Thursday because of Thanksgiving. And look at that. We actually have a full slate tonight, not just our normal 2 or 3 games that we normally have been getting on Thursdays. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, usually on Thursdays, you're right. We only get about 2 to 4 games on the Thursday night schedule. But hey, we have a huge schedule here tonight in the association. So can't wait to dig into it with you, McKee. But quickly recapping yesterday, anything that stood out to you as far as the association went? I know Terrell and Scott had a really good show. They gave out some winners. They also hit their Underdog Fantasy entry. So hopefully we can continue that winning streak. But anything stood out to you last night?
Yeah, I mean, I was really locked into the Suns-Raptors game, obviously, and the Raptors kicked our ass. I don't know what to say about it. It wasn't a great game for the Suns. Well,
yeah, I think there's a couple of times, I don't want to say multiple times, that Devin Booker had to go back to the locker room for his ankle, maybe get retaped or whatever the case might have been. So I know he still looked like Devin Booker out there, but maybe that ankle is still bothering him. And it's just a shame right now. I know you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, that we still haven't been able to see the debut of the big three here. And I think that probably may not happen till maybe after the new year, especially with the back injury that Bradley Beal is dealing with. But I mean, Eric Gordon has filled in very nicely so far for them. I'll say that much.
Maybe we get him back by Christmas, but it looks unfortunate. It doesn't look like it's good. So let's hopefully lock in the big three for 2024.
I hope so. Yeah. Definitely a lot of potential there for the Phoenix Suns. Nothing else really stood out to me last night. I mean, Lakers went in there, took care of business. They've been beating up on bad teams, but Pistons are just worldly bad right now, McKee. I mean, 2-16 so far on the season. One team in particular I want to ask you about is I was high on this team coming into the season, but I didn't know that they were going to be this good. That's Orlando Magic, man. They're sitting at 13-5 on the season, 8-2 at home. They're second place in the Eastern Conference. I'm not sure if you've watched a lot of Orlando Magic games, but they've been the darling for us, at least on the NBA pod so far this season, the way they've been cashing the first half.
I have been loving watching the Orlando Magic team. They're one of my League Pass teams for sure. And one of the surprising things that I meant to actually say was that they're 15-3 against the spread. They're the top team against the spread this year. So even better for gamblers. That's why they should be our darling.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we're going to continue watching that trend. It seems like the books have caught up a little bit on the first half trend of the Orlando Magic, but they've been an absolute wagon thus far this season.
Yeah, you can still bet them on the full games though. Like they're still covering a lot of those games, 15-3. So hey, let's do it. Let's keep rolling with the Magic.
Yeah, I've gotten a little cute with them, taking them in the second quarter, and they've been cashing that as well. I think that they're the best, net rated team in that second quarter, and they're also averaging like close to 32 points per game in that second quarter as well. So maybe maybe the books have adjusted for the first half, but full game, you're correct. Yeah, you got to keep pounding them, but until the books adjust in that second quarter, I'm going to continue taking them in that second quarter. But McKee, we got a full schedule here tonight, a lot for us to get to. So let's just dive right into it, my man. Lines courtesy of our newest sponsor, Bet Rivers. So right now, the first game on the board, we have the Portland Trailblazers They are headed to Cleveland to take on the Cavaliers. Currently, I see the Cavs are an 11-point favorite here with a total of 218 in this game. As I pull up the injury report here for tonight for all of these teams. Give me a second here. All right, here we go. So for the Portland Trail Blazers, a pretty clean injury report. We know Anthony Simons continues to be out, and Robert Williams III has been gone for the season. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, pretty clean injury report for them as well. Only person of significant, a role player that is on their injury report is Dean Wade. He's out with the right ankle sprain. So currently, as it stands right now on Bet Rivers here, McKee, we're looking at 11-point favorites for the home team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. What do you think?
You know what? Portland are 0-5 against the spread against their last 5 games against Cleveland. 0-5 straight up as well. This Trailblazers team has been bad. They are 30th in pace of play. So I'm gonna be leaning on the under here. The total has gone under in 6 of Portland's last 8 games, and it's gone under 5 of Portland's last 5 games against an Eastern Conference opponent. So definitely going to be hitting the under here, and probably going to be taking the Cavs minus the points, even though it's a hefty number.
Yeah, the Trailblazers are coming off of that the double-digit outright victory in their last game against the Indiana Pacers. They were I think the line closed at 12 in that game, but they went in there to Indiana and got the outright victory as a 12-point underdog. So maybe they come back down to earth in this game against the Cavs. Cavs, I believe, do have
Terrell was on that. I was just going to say Terrell was. I had our the little shorts that we do every day on best bets on our YouTube channel. Terrell was on hitting the Trailblazers plus the points, but they ended up winning outright. So shout out to Terrell on Monday for hitting that.
Yeah, keep those points. He said we don't need the points. Trailblazers get the outright victory there. So I think in this game here, McKee, I think the one thing that kind of stands out to me is the Cavs will have the rebounding edge in this game, especially with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. I know these two teams did match up earlier this season, and I believe that was in Portland, where the Cavs got the 109-95 victory in that game. They closed as a 9.5-point favorite, did the Cavs in that game. So I think it's a good bounce back spot here for the Cavs. I like the edge that they're going to have in the rebounding department. With Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. I'll lay the wood here. Give me the Cavs minus the points here. And I also do agree about the under this game. I think the pace should be slowing down a little bit in this game. I'm not sure I trust completely the Portland Trailblazers and their offensive efficiency. But thus far this season, the Portland Trailblazers overall 10-7 to the under. And in the road game, they're 5-5 to the total. But I think this might be more of a defensive-minded game here. I expect the Cavs to come out and play some good defense here. Any player props you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell right now. His points prop is set at 26.5. Now, he's only gone over this 2 of the last 5 games, but he dropped 40 on Atlanta and he dropped 34 on the Trailblazers when they played, like I said, on the 15th. So looking for him to go over because he has averaged 30.2 points against the Trailblazers in his career. So I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell to go off in this game. What do you think?
I think so. I think that for Donovan Mitchell, and especially that young backcourt that the the Cavs have, I think he is a bit of a matchup nightmare for them. And like you mentioned, 34 points in his last game against the Portland Trailblazers. And again, he's coming off of a game where he scored 40 against the Atlanta Hawks. And we know he is the focal point of the offense for the Cleveland Cavaliers, right? The shot attempts are always going to be there for Donovan Mitchell. He's averaging 20 shot attempts per game over his last 5 games. He's getting up close to 8 3-pointers a game as well. So we know the usage rate is through the roof for Donovan Mitchell. And just historically, I'm looking at it here. He's averaging in his career 24.8 points per game against the Portland Trail Blazers. But since he joined the Cavs, 34, 26, and 34 in 3 games against the Portland Trail Blazers. So, yeah, I'm with you on that. I was trying to figure out which tall tree between Jared Allen and Evan Mobley is going to get the rebounds here tonight.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's Evan Mobley for me because if if Jared Allen and DeAndre Ayton are matched up, I think that just creates a matchup nightmare for the other guys on the defense for the Portland Trail Blazers. And again, the last
Yeah.
matchup, Evan Mobley had a really good game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He finished up with 21 points and 12 rebounds. So if you look at a points and rebounds to go over for Evan Mobley McKee, I don't hate that.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's mark that down as a potential for our underdog pick a
Yeah,
little later.
100%. Anything else for this game?
No, I think that's it.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Next game on the board, we have the Charlotte Hornets. They are in Brooklyn to take on the Nets. Currently, as it stands, the Nets are a 7.5-point home favorite with a total of 224 in this game. Looking at the injury report here, McKee, for both of these teams, we know that LaMelo Ball is going to be missing some significant time with the right ankle sprain. Cody Martin is out as well. Brandon Miller is officially questionable here tonight with the left ankle sprain, and Nick Richards continues to be in concussion protocol. For the Brooklyn Nets, Ben Simmons is out. He's going to be out for a while. Cam Thomas should return here tonight for the Brooklyn Nets. He did say that he is going to play here, tonight. He's been dealing with a left ankle sprain, but I did see a notification that he was going to play here tonight. Let's start with the side here, McKee. -7.5 in favor of the Nets here. What are you thinking?
Well, the Charlotte Nets are 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games, whereas Brooklyn are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. Also 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 games at home. So I am leaning towards the Brooklyn Nets. The Hornets have not been playing well. Where are you going with this?
Yeah, I really do like the Nets. Nets have been a cash cow here. I know we're laying the chalk here in the first couple games here, but this team is completely different when LaMelo Ball is not on the floor for the Charlotte Hornets, right? Offensive efficiency goes down, their pace goes down. And I failed to recognize that in the last game that Charlotte Hornets played. And I played the over, and I was talking to one of my buddies, and he said that look, the pace significantly slows down without LaMelo Ball in the lineup. So I think this might be more of an under game here as well. But I do think that the Brooklyn Nets, especially early on, I think they're going to have success in this game, and getting Cam Thomas back as well. That gives you more, scoring power over Charlotte Hornets team that defensively has not been very good so far. This McKee.
Yeah, the Charlotte's the over has been hitting 10 in the last 14 games, despite being a bottom 8 team in pace. So if they're going to considerably slow down with LaMelo gone as well, like you mentioned, I do like the under here.
Yeah, it's only been one game without LaMelo Ball, but they only scored 91 points in their last game compared to where they're doing 114 with LaMelo Ball in the lineup. But again, I guess as we get more and more data with LaMelo Ball, or sorry, I should say without LaMelo Ball in the lineup for the Charlotte Hornets, we'll see how things transpire for this team. Player props in this game, McKee, what are you looking at?
Well, with the return of Cam Thomas, I am looking at the other Cam to go under. Cam Johnson under 15.5 points. Through 10 games this season, he's gotten 5-5 on this. I'm going to the under. But he's scoring average versus the Hornets is 12.2. So it's 3.3 less than the over-under for tonight. So I feel like with the other Cam coming back, we might get a little less Cam Johnson. So I'm going to go under that 15.5 points, which I hate to do because I love him as a former Sun.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think you're probably looking at Cam Thomas, maybe his threes to go over in this game. Because the shot volume is always there for Cam Thomas. There's no question about that. I was curious to see
he's not
Nick
passing
Claxton
a lot.
rebounds in this game. Yeah, that's for sure. Rebounding wise, he's been doing absolutely phenomenal over the last couple games here. He's at 9, 11 against the Hawks. He had 6 against Miami, 8 against Toronto. But I think the one thing that really sticks out to me about Nick Claxton is you have to take his blocks and steals combined, or just his blocks, because just to put this into reference here, McKee, I'll just quickly read this off. Last 5 games, 4 blocks, 3 blocks, 2 steals, 3 blocks, 1 steal, 1 block, and then 3 blocks and 1 steal. So he's at least 4 steals and blocks combined in 4 of the last 5 games. And currently, I see
Ooh,
that
I like that.
number. Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Player defense. Nick Claxton steals and blocks here tonight are. Where is he? Nick Claxton, 2.5 at what's that minus 175. So if you're able to alt that up to 3.5 to get some,
Mhm.
maybe get a reduced vig or get that to even money, I really do like that. Anything else, McKee, for this game?
That's all I got for this game.
All right. Before we get over to the next game on the schedule, let me tell everyone about Bet Rivers. We're brought to you by Bet Rivers. And Bet Rivers offers some great betting options on their menu, right? And they're also available in over 14 different states. Plus, if you're in Canada, in Ontario, Canada, they're available there as well. Bet Rivers has some of the best live betting markets in the space. Their betting menu is second to none, including a ton of props. Depositing and withdrawing is super easy on Bet Rivers as well. Sign up using our link to get a risk-free bet up to $500. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betrivers. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/betrivers. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, McKee, let's get over to the next game on the schedule. Here we have the Indiana Pacers. They are headed to South Beach to take on the Miami Heat with a spread currently sitting at -2 in favor of the Miami Heat. Total of 239 in this game. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, to start here with the Indiana Pacers. TJ McConnell is questionable here tonight. Isaiah Jackson is questionable as well. And Jalen Smith is out for this game. For the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo is probable. Jimmy and Haywood Highsmith are both questionable. And Duncan Robinson is also probable here tonight for the Miami Heat. And we know Tyler Hero is going to be missing some time as well with the ankle injury. Okay, let's start with the side here. -2 in favor of the home team, the Miami Heat. What are you thinking about this game?
This is like a matchup of two really opposite teams, right? Like the Heat win by doing all like the little things right, whereas the Pacers win by just sheer offensive efficiency. The Heat are ranked 25th in pace, and the Pacers are ranked first. The Heat are 17th in effective field goal percentage, and the Pacers are first. So you get two really opposite teams, which is fun to see them match up. I'm excited to watch this game. I do think that Jimmy Butler will be back for this one after sitting the last game. So with him back, I feel like I'm leaning towards the Heat here at home. I know we tend to fade the Heat at home as home favorites, but with
Yeah.
that only 2 points, I'm leaning towards the Heat a little bit here. But curious to see what you think. I'm not loving that side. I'm not going to be putting a lot of money on it.
Yeah, I think, you're right. We talked a lot about on this pod is that when the Miami Heat are favored, we're not really looking to back them at home in that spot. And again, this season they are 4-2 straight up, but they are 1-5 against the spread. But with this spread being so short, um, I still think I'm going to go with Indiana here tonight. I think it's interesting that no matter which team the Indiana Pacers play, like they're going to dictate the pace. It doesn't matter. They're gonna play their brand of basketball. They're gonna put their foot on the gas for 48 minutes, and it's up to the other team if they want to match that pace or not. Because we've seen, I think, a case in point, going back to last season, McKee. I think when they played the Bucks in the first round, typically we are historically seen the Miami Heat be a slower paced team, but they were pushing the pace in that game against the Milwaukee Heat and making things uncomfortable for them. So it's not like they don't play that brand of basketball, but I'm going to lean with the Pacers here. I don't love it. I feel like I wish the spread was a little bit bigger, but I do think this game does come down to the wire here. Total sitting at 239. What do you think about the total here?
Well, we just saw in the chat, Kaysen said Pacers finally had their 2 under of the season. The season last time. So, their second under of the season last game, 14-2 to the over this year. You're saying they dictate the pace. I'm gonna go ahead and like, God, this is a high total. I can't believe to say this, but I feel like they come back and go back to the mean and go over again. What are you thinking?
5-0 to the over in their road games, and it hasn't even been close, McKee. They're averaging 265 points per game on the road thus far this season. And just to put into context, none of those games have gone to overtime. So they scored 238 in the game against the Cavs. I think that was the first or second game of the regular season. But since then, against the Celtics, 259. And then in back-to-back games against the Sixers, 263 and 258. And then against the Hawks, I know that's a team that also plays with a high pace and doesn't play any defense. They scored 309 points. So I think also keep in mind here, McKee, that they play here tonight on Thursday against the Heat, and then they're right back at it on Saturday again as well against the Miami Heat as well. So, I mean, even though the last game went under, I can't. You have to take the over here. I think Hornets, they played the Hornets in the last game, but again, that was the first game that was without LaMelo Ball. And we know offensive efficiency wise, they're not really great without LaMelo, and they didn't really push the pace in that game. I'm sorry, that was against Portland. My mistake. But I just think that this is going to be a game where I feel like the Heat are going to match the pace here for the Indiana Pacers here as well. So I'm going to go over 239. Player props. What are we looking at?
I'm looking at Miles Turner under 15.5 points. The Pacers are bottom 5 in offensive rebounds per 100 possessions, and our second worst rebounding team for 100 possessions. And the Heat aren't great, but Adebayo, I think, with him probable in this game. Turner has only gone over 15.5 points against Adebayo twice in the last 6 games that they've played, and so I'm thinking Turner gets shut down here by Adebayo, and I'm going to fade him, go under the 15.5 points for Miles Turner.
I did have a Miles Turner prop in this game here as well. And shout out to my buddy Mitch for pointing this one out. So over the last 12 head-to-head meetings against the Miami Heat, Miles Turner has recorded at least 2 blocks against the Miami Heat. 12 straight games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's had at least 2 blocks against the Miami Heat. So right now, I did see that number last night. Let me see, it was at minus 125 on the over 1.5. Maybe that big has still moved a little bit towards him. Yeah, it's up to minus 160 now for Miles Turner. So this might be a good parlay piece if you want to put that with the Nick Claxton prop I mentioned earlier in that Nets game. I think if Jimmy, I do see Jimmy props here tonight. Maybe Jimmy PRA in this game. Again, we know, like we mentioned, that this Pacers team doesn't play any defense.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Jimmy PRA. That's at 34.5 in this game. We haven't talked about our guy Hallie. What do you think about Hallie tonight?
I mean, he's been playing great. I wanted to stay away from the props from him tonight, but looking, I think going up against Kyle Lowry, right? If Kyle Lowry's healthy, he should do anything he wants tonight, pretty much. But the juice on his assists have just been so high that I haven't been hitting the assists.
Yeah, it's at 10.5 right now, around minus 135. He did have a 43-point game against the Heat last season, but then he fell down back to earth in a game about 2 months later where he scored 11 points. But he did have 10 assists in that game, did Hallie against the Miami Heat. And last 2 games, he's only had 10 assists and 9 assists of the last 2 games. But prior to that, he had 16 against the Raptors, 16 against the Hawks. So, probably a game that I'll probably stay away from with you on Hallie here. Anything else for this game, McKee?
That's all I got.
All right. Before we get over to the next game on the schedule, let me tell everyone about Underdog Fantasy. You can play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long, whether it's in the NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, and college football. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Stay tuned at the end of the episode. We'll try to make it 2 nights in a row for us to hit an Underdog Fantasy entry. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. Again, that's Underdog Fantasy, using promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame Bet's revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. All right, McKee, let's keep it rolling here, my man. Next game on the board, we have the Detroit Pistons. They are headed to the Big Apple to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. Knicks are currently a 13.5-point favorite in this game with a total of 218.5. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Detroit Pistons, they get some extra time to submit that injury report because they did play last night against the LA Lakers, so they are on a back-to-back here. For the New York Knicks, pretty healthy squad. Nobody of significance is on the injury report. And like I mentioned, McKee, last night, the Pistons got absolutely blasted again in another game against the LA Lakers, where they lost that game 133-107. Lakers were a 7.5-point favorite in that game. They went in there and won that game by 26 points. And thus far this season on the road for the Detroit Pistons, they are 1-8. They're 4-5 against the spread, and they are 6-3 to the over. Are the Pistons? And let me see how they've been doing in back-to-back situations this season. So they played 4 games in back-to-back situations. They're 1-3 straight up, 2-2 against the spread, and 3-1 to the over in those back-to-back situations. And now they go to Madison Square Garden to take on the New York Knicks. What are you thinking about the spread here, McKee? Big number delay here.
Whew, really big number. I hate this spread right now because I don't like playing Detroit on a back-to-back. I don't like, playing in Detroit. They're 1-5 against the spread in their last 5 games. Whereas New York, they're 8-4 against the spread in their last 12 games, 4-3 as a home favorite. I mean, it's ugly, but I feel like I'm leaning towards the Pistons. I don't have a good sense just because it's such a high number, but what do you think? Can the Knicks blow out the Pistons like this?
This one's tough. I feel like, I think
I'm staying away from it, but
and I typically try to stay away from these big spreads because I think last night was almost a prime example in that Rockets game that the Denver Nuggets were winning by 17 points with about 3 minutes left. And then if you got the closing number at 10, you barely won because there was an opportunity for the Rockets to backdoor that thing. They weren't able to, but I feel like it may just kind of come down to that. I think the one X's and O's matchup I'll kind of be looking at in this game is on the boards, right? You have Mitchell Robinson and Julius Randle going up against guys like Isaiah Stewart. And if Jalen Duren's able to play here tonight, I think that if the Pistons are able to limit the second chance opportunities for the New York Knicks, I think that they could stay within this number. I know Terrell says this a lot, that somebody turns into Michael Jordan when they visit my Madison Square Garden for the visiting team. So we'll find out who that player is going to be here tonight. But I'll lean here with the Pistons. I'm not sure. I'm not comfortable laying this amount of points with the New York Knicks. And Knicks, I know they won against the Hornets by double digits in their last game, but that was a game where they needed to win by margin if they wanted to qualify for the quarterfinals for the in-season tournament, right? But this is just a regular season tournament game. So I'll lean here with the Pistons. I'm not going to have money on it here. I think I do like the over in this game, though, McKee. I think the Pistons being on a back-to-back situation, I think that they can put up some points here. This number is sitting at, 218.5. I think that's a little conservative. I do think they could get into the 220s here in this game. But you have any thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I'm going to go over with you as well. I feel like the Knicks can put up plenty of points on the Pistons, but still staying away from this game. And this is a gross game. And Kaysen just said in the chat, a lot of gross games today. I feel like we did get some gross 100%. Games on the schedule today. So this is one I'm okay with staying away from.
Did you have any player props for this game?
I don't. I couldn't find anything I liked. What do you got?
I didn't really find anything that I loved either. I know that the point guard position has had a lot of success against the Detroit Pistons' lack of their of defense. So maybe it's a Jalen Brunson game here tonight if you want to go in that direction. But again, when we talk about props in this type of game, especially with a spread that's at this number, like it could turn into another blowout. And then if you bet overs in a game like this with props, I mean that's where they can kind of go to die. So I mean I'll look at Jalen Brunson here, but again, I feel like if they're blowing them out, Jalen Brunson's obviously not going to be out there if there's like they're up by like 20 points with like 5 minutes left. So I pretty much crossed this game off of my list here as well. Historically, Jalen Brunson, I'll mention this. Last game, he did have 27 points against this Pistons team. But again, I'm going to stay away from this game completely. Lean with the Pistons, like the over, but no player props in this game here for me.
Same.
All right, McKee, let's get over to the next game. Maybe one of the better games here for tonight. We got the LA Lakers. They are headed to OKC to take on the Thunder. Thunder currently sitting as a 5.5-point home favorite here, hosting the LA Lakers, who are on a back-to-back. Total is sitting at 233 in this game, currently over on Bet Rivers. Looking at the injury report, not yet one submitted for the LA Lakers, but your usual guys will probably be questionable, and they'll be ruled in an hour before the game. I'm talking about the Anthony Davises and the LeBron James of the world. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, I do not see an injury report submitted for them. So
I think it's been up yet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. All right. Let's start with the side here, McKee. -5.5. The Lakers are on a back-to-back here, but what are you thinking about this game?
The fact that the Lakers are on the back-to-back and OKC are 9-2-1 against the spread in their last 12 games. The Thunder should be mad coming off that Minnesota game that they played on Tuesday. I'm really liking OKC here. I'm definitely, this is going to be one of my locks for today. I am taking OKC minus the points. Lakers are 3-3 as away underdogs against the spread this season. So really liking the Thunder here. Like them for a good bounce back game here. How you feel?
Yeah, we've talked about this on the pod this season that the Lakers, they'll beat up on the poorer teams in the NBA. Case in point, last night against the Pistons. Teams like the Jazz, they've taken care of business against the Trailblazers, the Grizzlies, teams that are just not very good this season. And you take a look at their record against teams that are really good. They just don't perform very well. Lakers, like I mentioned, are on a back-to-back. This is going to be I believe their third or fourth game on a back-to-back. Pulling up the numbers here quickly. So this is going to be their fourth game on a back-to-back. So far this season, the first three games when they played on a back-to-back, McKee, 1-2 straight up, 0-3 against the spread, and they are 3-0 to the under in those back-to-back situations. And like you mentioned, the Thunder have been really good against the spread this season. I think this is a smash spot here for the OKC Thunder. Again, one of the better teams in the league. 4-1 against the spread thus far this year. And at home this season, they are 6-3 against the spread. So yeah, I'm with you. I love the Oklahoma City Thunder here. Should be a big Shea game here as well. We'll talk about player props here in a second. But any thoughts on the total here, McKee?
Are you leaning under with that Lakers stat you just read on the back-to-back?
I think I am.
What'd you say the total's at? Sorry, I didn't see it earlier.
233.
Yeah. I'm gonna lean under, but definitely don't feel as good about it as the side.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards the under here as well. Like I mentioned, 3-0 to the under for the Lakers on back-to-back situations this season. So if you expect to maybe see LeBron or Anthony Davis sit here tonight, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think if you do want to play a over in this game, I think a pivot would be maybe the Thunder team total to go over. But like you mentioned, McKee, I think that for them coming off that loss against Minnesota, being back at home, hosting the Lakers, I think this is a big get-up spot for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Player props, what are you looking at?
You know what? I'm rethinking it a little bit because of the back-to-back, but I was looking at LeBron's over 24.5 points.
Mhm,
He scored 25 last night. He's only hit this uh, 2 of the last 5 games, but the Thunder are 6th in pace.
mhm.
So I'm thinking he'll have a lot more shots to get up, and he's averaging four and a half more points against the Thunder in his career than this prop total. So
Mhm.
I think this is one where, like you said, the Lakers beat up on the bad teams, but LeBron gets up for the good teams. Um, Thinking with all the talk around the Thunder, and we know how LeBron is plugged into all the chatter around the good teams. I think he's going to go off in this game, so I'm going to take his over 24.5 points right here.
5 straight games in his career, or I should say the last 5 games he's faced the Thunder, he's gone over this projection. Last 5 games he scored 26, 28, 25, 33, and then a game last season he had 38 against the OKC Thunder. I'll probably look to fade Anthony Davis in this game because we know Anthony Davis, when he has a really good game, the following game he turns out to be a dud. And
Yep.
last night he had a really good game against the Detroit Pistons. 29 minutes, he scored 28 points, had 16 rebounds. And then he'll probably follow that up with a dud of a situation. So against the Jazz, he had 26 points. He followed that up by 10 points against the Mavs. Then he had 32 against the Cavs, and he followed that up with a 17-point performance against the Sixers. And the last night he had 28 against the Pistons. So it's kind of been a theme for Anthony Davis to perform well in one game and then just put up a dud in the other game.
I like that.
SGA intrigues me in this game. I mean, his number's probably at 30.5, as it always is, just because he's that good. Maybe his assist is something I can get behind tonight, but haven't
Yeah,
dug too much into
that
it.
point total was too high for me. I see
Yeah.
in the points Nick Fortune saying he likes shy over. Um, it's a little too high for me against the Lakers.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna bet the under, but I'm gonna stay
Yeah.
away from it.
There you go. Yeah, I think that's how we're gonna put it. Not gonna bet the under, but I can definitely see him getting over this total for sure. All right, McKee, anything else for this game?
That's all I got.
All right, let's get over to the next game of the night. We have the Milwaukee Bucks. They are headed to Chicago to take on the Bulls. Uh, the Bucks are currently a 8-point favorite in this game, with a total of, let's see here, 228.5 for this game. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, start here with the Milwaukee Bucks. Bucks are going to be without Pat Connaughton, Jay Crowder, and that is pretty much it. The 2 role players for the Chicago Bulls, Alex Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine are all questionable here tonight. DeMar DeRozan is dealing with a left ankle sprain, Alex Caruso with a left toe strain, and Zach LaVine has a right foot soreness. So their main guys here are all questionable here tonight. But McKee, let's start with the side here. 8 points in favor of the road team here, the Milwaukee Bucks. What do you think?
I'm hammering the Bucks. I don't care what the
Ooh.
number is. The Bulls look like a shell of themselves right now. They do not look like a happy team when you're watching them online. They don't seem like there's any cohesion. There's a lot of chatter around them trading Levine, DeRozan, and Caruso. It wouldn't surprise me to see all those guys sit tonight. You know why?
Mm.
Why even playing? They're questionable on the injury report. So right now I'm hammering the Bucks. The Bucks 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 games. Chicago 0-5 against the spread in their last 5 games. What am I missing here? Am I missing anything on why I should be worried about the Bulls?
I think the only pushback maybe is that defensively the Bucks have struggled, but then at the same time the Chicago Bulls have just been so bad. It's just hasn't been very good for this team. Um, I know a lot of us or especially the guys in the chat, we've talked about this on the pod. It's just fading the Bulls early, within those first quarters or first halves. And I
Mm-hmm.
know the Bucks have struggled a little bit getting out of the gate here, but I just think offensively they're just struggling so bad. Are the Chicago Bulls, and I'm trying to find their first quarter and first half stats here. So Chicago so far this season, McKee, in the first quarter are 5-14 against the spread. And then in the first half, the Chicago Bulls are, let's see here, 5-13-1 against the spread. So they're getting off to very slow starts, are the Chicago Bulls. I think I'm just going to continue fading that. I know Milwaukee has struggled a little bit as well, but I mean, in the first half, at least in the road games, Milwaukee is they're 8-1. Sorry, they're 1-8 against the spread. So something's got to give here tonight. And I think I'm on the side of fading Chicago here in this game. So I'll go first quarter Bucks in this game. I do expect Giannis to, Giannis usually plays that entire first quarter, and then Dame comes in that second quarter. Sorry, it's the other way. So Dame, I know there's a report that I saw that he wanted to play the first quarter entirely because he did that with Portland, and then Giannis comes off the floor, and then he starts, he comes for the final 2 minutes of the first quarter. But nonetheless, first quarter for me, I agree with you about the full game Bucks here. I think they take care of business here against Bulls team. Total, McKee, 228.5. Anything there?
I'm going to go with the over. The total has gone over in 4 of Milwaukee's last 6 games. The total's gone over in 4 of Chicago's last 5 games. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that trend and say that the defenses are going to struggle. There's going to be more points in this one than not. So let's go with the over.
Yeah, I know Milwaukee has been struggling mightily on the defensive end, but I think they've kind of fixed those woes here. And then also, just to put this in the context, since the 2020 season, the Bucks are 6-2 straight up and 6-2 against the spread in Chicago. And they've done a really good job defensively. I think I like the Milwaukee Bucks team total to go over in this game. I'm just going to take the Bulls out of it. Again, like you mentioned, this team has pretty much melded in. We're just waiting at the point of matter of when some of these guys get traded from this team and then they blow this team up. So I'll take the
another
Bucks
ugly game.
over.
Another ugly game on the schedule for us.
Yeah, 100%. Player props. What are you looking at?
So Giannis has taken on the role of facilitator more, and his assist prop has hit 4 of the last 5 games. I'm seeing over 4.5. Heavy juice at -145, but I'm like Giannis to go over that assist prop regardless. He's been averaging 5.5 assists when playing against the Bulls, so that's nearly a full assist over what that is right now. So what do you think about Giannis assist prop?
So I'm looking at his game log against the Chicago Bulls, and about the last 5 games, you said it's 4.5?
4.5, I'm seeing it, yeah.
Yeah, so going back to maybe like the last 7 games, he's had 5 assists. 3 games in a row he had 7. He had a 3 assist game, but then he only played 9 minutes. I think he left injured in that game. And the last game they played on November 13th, he only had 2 assists in that game. But I mean, that was about 17 days ago. And I think you're right that recently he's, taken on more of a facilitator role. I wouldn't hate his PRA here tonight. He's also done a great job of rebounding the basketball against the Milwaukee Bucks and the last game, against the Chicago Bulls. And in his last game, like I mentioned, he had 35 points, 11 rebounds in that game, took along with 2 assists. But I think that assist number may go up a little bit, like you mentioned, McKee, with him taking on more of a facilitator role here. One more thing I did notice when I was breaking down this game is that over the last 5 games, the Chicago Bulls 3-point defense has been absolutely atrocious. They are dead last, or they're allowing the most 3-point makes over the last 5 games at 17.4 makes per game. They're also giving up 41 attempts from beyond the arc as well, which is the second most, only trailing the New Orleans Pelicans. And then they're also allowing the second highest 3-point percentage as well over the last 5 games at 42.4. So I want to get behind Dame's 3-pointers here tonight, McKee. It's at 3.5, but it is juiced at -140 last time I saw it. Let me see if that number has come down here. It's at -145 now, but I think he gets his looks here tonight. I think that it's an opportunity for him to knock down some 3-point shots. Or if you want to pivot to like a Malik Beasley, I think that he'll be also able to get some shots here. So those were the kind of props that I was looking at. Anything else for this game?
That's all I've got.
All right, let's get over to the next game on the board here tonight. Let's go over to the Utah Jazz. They are in Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves currently sitting as a 10-point favorite in this game. Looking at the injury report, the Jazz did play yesterday, so no injury report submitted for them just yet. For the Minnesota Timberwolves here tonight, the big name Anthony Edwards is doubtful. He left the last game against the OKC Thunder with the hip issue. So he's officially doubtful here for tonight. And Jaden McDaniels continues to be out with the right ankle sprain. The Jazz last night, like I mentioned, took an L against the Grizzlies, and they are now on a back-to-back. Yeah, a bad L. And they are on a back-to-back situation here, traveling to Minnesota. And I'll just put this out there here, McKee. So this is going to be their fourth game on a back-to-back situation for the Utah Jazz. 0-3 straight up, 0-3 against the spread. They are 2-1 to the over. But in those 3 games, in the back-to-back situation, they've given up 126, 115, and 121 points to the opposition. I know that Lauri Markkanen is also going to be out for this game because they did mention that he was going to be out for at least 2 more games. So no Lauri Markkanen here tonight as well for the Utah Jazz here, McKee. But what are you thinking about the side here?
Oh, I mean, I'm definitely fading Utah despite Ant probably being out. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games. Timberwolves are 8-1 against the spread at home, while the Jazz are 2-7 against the spread on the road this season. We saw Troy Brown Jr. really step up in the last game once Ant went out. So hopefully he can do that again. So I'm on the Timberwolves minus the tall spread.
Yeah. I think especially without Anthony Edwards here tonight, I think this might be a big cat game, but we'll get to player props here in a second. But like you mentioned, the Timberwolves have been so good at home this season, right? 8-1 straight up, 8-1 against the spread. Depending on where you got that number for the last game against the Thunder, it could have been a push for you, but they're dominating at home, right? And our average margin of victories thus far this season at home has been 12.3 points, and they're only giving up 101.1 points per game on the road, or sorry, at home this season. And they've been one of the better defensive teams as well this season. So I'm all over the Timberwolves here. I'm not afraid to lay this big number, especially fading the Utah Jazz. And like you mentioned, McKee, the Jazz 1-8 straight up on the road this season, 2-7 against the spread. And then in back-to-back situations, like I mentioned, 0-3 straight up and 0-3 against the spread. And if they're in a back-to-back situation on the road, 0-2 straight up, 0-2 against the spread, getting outscored an average margin of losing streak, I should say, by 19 points, McKee. So it should be a double-digit victory here tonight for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You have anything on the total here?
I am going to be going under, I think, just based off of the Timberwolves defense and with Ant probably being out, Markkanen out. I just feel like it's going to be a low-scoring game.
I think the only one, if you want to consider an over, would be the Timberwolves team total to go over. But even then, I think that this could be like a 110 to like 89, 90, something in that range, like a low.
It feels like a slog.
90s. Yeah, like a slog fest, a slow pace here. So, won't have anything on the total here. Player props, anything in this game you like?
Well, I didn't see player props listed earlier because I think that they were waiting to see if Ant's out or not. But if you can find Troy Brown Jr. props, I mean, he dropped 17 on OKC the other night, and they were a big reason that they won with Ant out. And so I'd be curious to see what his overs are on today.
Yeah, I did see they just dropped some for the Minnesota Timberwolves. But it's their main starters. It's Cat, it's Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert going up against his former team. I think I don't need to mention that, but I think everybody already knew that. Mike Conley's out there as well, and Nikhil Alexander Walker is out there as well.
Because didn't Gobert had like 15 and 15 in the last game, right? What is his number? Like, what's his maybe points and rebounds at?
For who you said? I'm sorry.
Gobert.
Let's see here. um, Points and rebounds for him tonight is 28 and a half.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a little high. Okay,
I
but I
like
think he could go off against his former team.
and he has. I think the rebounding wise, he has. Let me pull it up here. I think it's been 3 games that he's faced the Jazz since the trade. So 4 games. So I'll just read out his rebounds here. So 23-13. There's one game I think he got ejected early, and he only had 1 rebound in that game. He had 5. He only played 5 minutes, and then he had a 10 rebound game. But he's also scored 9 points, 22 and 11 against his former team. So numbers seems a little spot.
He's playing well. He looked great in the last game.
I think he's back to his defensive player of the year form. Like right now, he is the odds-on favorite at plus 350 to win the defensive player of the year award. The one guy I was looking at is going to be Cat here tonight, especially without Anthony Edwards. So in 8 career games since Anthony Edwards was drafted by the Minnesota Timberwolves, Cat is averaging 27.8 points per game and 10 rebounds per game as well. So I see his points prop here tonight at 26.5. For Cat, I don't hate the over on that, but I think I'm going to go rebounds and points combined here for Cat here tonight. That number is at 35.5 at minus 120. And both of those guys have been doing a great job of rebounding the basketball. Have Cat and Rudy Gobert. Cat's had double-digit rebounds in 3 of the last 4 games, so I think that is a good opportunity here tonight for Cat to score points and also rebound the basketball. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does have 30-plus points here tonight.
Love it.
Last, before we get over to the next game, Minnesota and Utah did match up earlier this season, and Cat in that game had 25 points and 7 rebounds. I'm trying to find the final score in that game. The Timberwolves won 123-95 in that game. So, I think it'll be it's a great spot here tonight for the Minnesota Timberwolves. All right, McKee. Let's get over to the next game on the schedule. Let's go over to the Atlanta Hawks. They are in San Antonio here tonight to take on Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. Currently, the Hawks are a 7.5 point road favorite here. Total of 247 in this game. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams. For the Atlanta Hawks, Jalen Johnson continues to be out. He has the fracture he is dealing with. And that is pretty much it. For the San Antonio Spurs, Jeremy Sohan is probable here tonight, and Victor Wembanyama is officially questionable here tonight with the right hip tightness. So keep an eye out for if Wembanyama plays here tonight for the San Antonio Spurs. McKee, let's start with the side here. Minus 7.5 in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. They are in San Antonio. What do you think about the spread?
This is another game I'm going to be staying away from, but Atlanta 1-6 against their spread in their last 7 games, 2-5 straight up. Whereas San Antonio 3-9 against the spread in their last 12 games. I don't really like either of these teams right here. What are you thinking for a side?
I have the same sentiments at what you just mentioned, right? Because Hawks, especially at home this season, have not been very good. I know they're on the road here, and there's not much there for the Hawks. They're 4-4 straight up. They're 4-4 against the spread on the road, but they are 6-1-1 towards the under, which doesn't help either because the Spurs are 7-2 towards the over at home this season. So something's got to give here.
The over is hit in San Antonio's 15 of last 20 games. The over is hit. Like they've been an over machine as well. So it's really confusing on this game.
Yeah, I know the last 2 games at home for them went under the total, but that was both of those games were against the Clippers. Clippers defensively have been actually pretty good this season. I know they have a lot of issues on the on the offensive side of the basketball, but Atlanta doesn't play a lot of defense either. So I wouldn't be surprised if this does get into the range of the 250 points here, but I can't lay the number here with the Atlanta Hawks, depending, even though how bad the San Antonio Spurs have been. I know DeJounte Murray is returning to San Antonio against his former team and all that hoopla, but I'll lean here with the Spurs. I mean, again, I don't love it. I think I'm in your camp that I'm not going to be putting any of my hard-earned money on this game here tonight.
Yep.
But I think that
I'll go
this
ahead
could
and
be a
lead.
game that
I'll go
gets
ahead and lean
over.
the Spurs too. It depends if Wembanyama's out or not.
Yeah, I think that's something that I got to keep in mind. Let me see if there's an updated status for him because a lot of this stuff does come around this time. Let me see here. Um, Yeah, so only updated news right now that just came out is Anthony Edwards was not present at shoot around, so he's more than likely out here tonight. But I don't see anything for Wimby
Yeah.
just yet. So, yeah, crosses the game off the list. If you want to gun to our heads, I think both McKee and I will lean with the Spurs here tonight. Do you look at any player props in this game?
No, again, this is a gross one that I'm staying away from.
All right, I agree with you, man. Let's get over to the next game on the board here. We will go to the last game of the night. It's going to be the LA Clippers on a back-to-back situation. They are in the Bay Area to take on the Golden State Warriors. Warriors currently are a 5.5 point favorite in this game here against the Clippers. The total in this game is sitting at, let's see here, as I change the banner, 227.5 in this game over on Bet Rivers here, McKee. So last night, the Clippers took care of business against the Sacramento Kings, who were on a back-to-back situation as well. The Clippers got the victory 131-117. A collective effort from the entire Clippers team. James Harden had a great game. Kawhi Leonard had a great game as well. The Kings just didn't have enough. I know they got a 40-point performance out of De'Aaron Fox last night, but they're in a completely different situation here. Looking at the injury report, nothing yet submitted for the Clippers, but for the Golden State Warriors, a couple of key pieces are going to be out here, McKee. So Chris Paul is dealing with a left lower leg nerve contusion, and then Gary Payton II, who is going to be missing some extended time, the right calf strain. So he's going to be missing this game here as well. Let's start with the side here. -5 right now is a number actually in favor of the Warriors. What are you thinking about this game?
Warriors are coming off an emotional loss to the Kings on Tuesday night. The game they should have won. And it's a loss that prevented them from advancing to the knockout round in the NBA in-season tournament. Clippers just beat the Kings last night. But obviously the Kings were coming off an emotional win versus the Warriors. So I really like the Warriors to bounce back tonight. I'll go ahead and lay the 5 points. I think that they're going to be hungry for a win right now, even without Chris Paul. I think that Curry can step up and take on a lot of the facilitator duties that I'll mention in my player prop later.
It's so hard for me to back either one of these teams.
Yeah.
Warriors at home this season are just 1-8 against the spread. They're 3-6 straight up. I just can't do it with either one of these teams. I mean,
but I mean, the Clippers are on a back-to-back. Do you think that and they actually?
And that's the question as well. Like, do we expect like Kawhi to play in a back-to-back, Paul George to play in the back-to-back? I think James Harden will be out there, but I mean, I'll lean here. Yeah, I'll lean with the Clippers here. I just think that when you take a look at the Clippers side, like you have guys that can score the basketball with multiple guys, right? With James Harden, with Paul George, with Kawhi Leonard. And I think the argument or the issue this season for the Warriors has been it's been Steph Curry. And then you're throwing dice on who's going to step up for the Warriors on a given night. And I know Klay Thompson has been okay over the past couple of games here, but when he gets back to that home floor in the Bay Area in Chase Center, like he just doesn't show up. And Andrew Wiggins has been up and down as well. Where for the Clippers, I know that maybe 2 out of the 4 guys or 3 out of 4 guys are going to have a pretty good night on the offensive side. So I'll take the points here with the Clippers. Give me the 5 here. I would not be surprised.
Draymond's back.
Yeah, Draymond returned in the last game against the Kings, and
Yeah.
I think that the Warriors do win this game straight up, but I think it might be just by a single possession or by like 4 points here tonight. So I'll take the
Okay.
5 here with I'll take the 5 here with the Clippers. I don't love it, but I just don't trust his Warriors team, especially at home so far this season. Any thoughts on the total?
Yeah, I maybe this is one we can agree on since we don't agree on the side. Since trading for Harden, the Clippers have dropped to 21st in pace, and the unders are hitting 10-1 before last night's game, which did go over against the Kings. While the Warriors have been playing some high scoring games lately with Draymond back and on playing defense, I like the under to hit tonight. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this when we talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves that the Clippers have been one of the better defensive teams this season. They're number 6 in defensive rating over the last 5 games. Season long, I should say. They're number 6 in defensive rating. And then over the last 5 games, that's probably tailed off a little bit. But they're still number 3 over the last 5 games scoring comes to defensive rating. They're actually tied with the Boston Celtics for that second best defense. So Golden State, I know they've been struggling on the defensive side of the basketball as well. I wouldn't hate the Clippers team total to go over in this game. But again, I just feel like this might just be a game where both these teams aren't playing at a very high pace. I know the Golden State Warriors are top 10, but the Clippers are right around league average when it comes to pace here. So, um, yeah, I'll lean with the under. I don't love it. Like you mentioned, the Clippers have been an under teams thus far this season. Player props. What do you like?
Well, with Chris Paul out, looking at Steph Curry's assists to go over,
I like that.
he's only averaged 4.1 assists per game, but the last game where CP3 left early, he recorded 6 assists on 10 potential assists. So with the Clippers on the second night of a back-to-back, they're playing their third game in 4 days. I like Curry's assist to go over tonight.
Yeah, I like that call. I think he'll also have to play some extended minutes here as
Yeah.
well. I know Steve Kerr had a blunder in the last game where he decided to bench Moses Moody, which wasn't the smartest idea. I think that's where it really cost him the game against the Kings because he was shooting the ball well, he was scoring the basketball, and he benched him. I think it was for Wiggins, if I'm not mistaken, or Klay Thompson, one of the two. But um, I'm waiting for some Moses Moody props to drop. I think that this is an opportunity for him to get some extended minutes, especially with Gary Payton being out and Chris Paul being out as well. So I look at it in that direction. Yeah, Curry points and assists combined. If you want to do that, that number's probably around 30.
I'm seeing in the chat, Casey put a 34.5
Yeah. I
for
see a
points and
33 and a
assists.
half out there as well. Yeah. So I don't hate that in this game. Any other player props?
That's all I got for this one. You waiting for the Moody's to drop? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Moses Moody. I think that we know with the 2 injuries, like we mentioned for the Warriors, like I expect him to play a lot more minutes now. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get like 20 plus minutes here tonight against the Clippers. And even if it is a blowout here, I think Moses Moody is one of the guys that is blowout proof that he'll still be out on the floor for this team. So expect him to get some shots up here tonight as well. Whether they're it's 3 pointers I want to look at, or his overall points here tonight. That number probably comes around maybe 7.5, 8.5 in this game for Moses Moody. But I do like him to have a big night, or not a big night, but at least contribute to scoring the basketball in the absence of Chris Paul and Gary Payton II. I was looking at Looney rebounds in this game. I know he's done pretty well against the Clippers. Let me see here. So last 3 games, 14 rebounds, 8 rebounds, 13 rebounds. Let me take a look at Zubac before we get into our lock and dog versus Warriors. Not much there, so I'm not going to force it. All right, McKee, anything else for this game?
No, you go ahead and can you start with your lock and dog? I'm gonna look at a couple things real fast.
Yeah, no worries. Then we'll put together our underdog fantasy entry as well. So All right, I'll lead it off here for the lock and dog. For my lock, let's see. There's a couple ways that we can go here. I liked the first quarter for the Milwaukee Bucks or the first half. I like that angle. Let's go with Milwaukee. I think that's my most confident play in this game. So Milwaukee Bucks
Yeah.
first quarter, that number's at -3.5 for them. And like I mentioned, this team for the Chicago Bulls in that first quarter has just been absolutely atrocious. I'm pulling up the numbers as far as their ratings go in the first quarters and first halves. Um, Let me hear. I got it right here. So in the first quarter over the last 5 games, the Chicago Bulls have a net rating of -23, where the Milwaukee Bucks are. I know they haven't been as good at -4.6, but Chicago Bulls have the second worst rating in that first quarter this season. They're only trailing the Detroit Pistons. So I expect Giannis, Damian Lillard, those guys to come out and play well in that first quarter. I'll go with the Milwaukee Bucks in that first quarter. That number is currently at -3.5. So I'll take that as my lock. For my dog, let's see here. There's a couple ways where we can go with this. I think I do like. I mean, it's a baby dog on the Pacers here tonight. Um, yeah, let's just go with the Pacers on the money line. It's a very baby dog, but there's no other dogs I really do like outright here tonight. I'll take the Pacers +110 on the money line here against the Miami Heat. Expect them to bounce back here tonight. I know we talked about extensively how the Pacers dictate the pace in a lot of these games or in pretty much all their games. And I expect them to get up here tonight in Miami in South Beach. And again, um, we've talked about fading the Miami Heat as home favorites. I think we're going to continue to do that here. So I'll take the Indiana Pacers +2. If you want to do an alt spread and maybe get some better odds for the Indiana Pacers, I don't hate that either. So I'm going to look at the Indiana Pacers as my dog here tonight. McKee, what do you got?
All right. For my lock, I am going to stick with you and make the Bucks full game. I'll go ahead and bet the full game as my lock to beat the Bulls. Again, we talked about the Bulls are a shell of themselves. I think my Milwaukee gets it done tonight. And then I don't love this dog, but we talked about what an ugly game this Hawks Spurs game will be.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just go ahead and take the Spurs straight up?
Mm.
Uh, get in there, mess around. I'd feel better about it if I knew Wemby was playing or not. But go ahead and stick that injury. Look at that injury report. If Wemby is playing, go ahead and take the Spurs on the money line. Why not? It's an ugly game. They can mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the we talked about how Atlanta just has not been very good. Number one against the spread and on the road. There's nothing very glamorous about the Atlanta Hawks either. So, I mean, yeah, crazier things have happened. So, if we're gonna swing for the fence on the dog, we might as well swing for the fences here. All right, Mickey, let's put
Exactly.
together our underdog entry here for tonight. I know Terrell and Scott hit theirs last night, so hopefully we can continue the winning streak here as far as our underdog entry here. So let me refresh this
Yeah, a
page.
couple that you said that I wrote down that interest
Yeah.
me. Miles Turner blocks steals, maybe.
Okay.
Uh, Combo, and also the Nick Claxton blocks and steals. I feel like both of
All
those
right.
are a good place to start.
Let's see here. Just refreshing the page here. All right, let's go to NBA. Yeah, I don't see Turner listed just yet.
That's
Uh,
unfortunate.
okay, let's do. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. So Miles Turner, you want to do? They don't have his blocks listed. They only have his steals
It
listed.
blocks only steals. Okay, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. Let me see Claxton. So Claxton, they don't have his blocks either. So I like your Curry call on the assist. Do you want to do that?
Yeah. What they got that number at?
It's at 5.
Okay, great.
Let's go higher
Go
on
higher
that.
on that.
All right. Let me see if they have Towns up yet, because I really did like Towns here tonight. So I'll go points and rebounds on his combined 36.5. I'll go higher on that. What else do you like?
Any thoughts on Miles Turner under points, like go lower points, or perhaps Cam Johnson lower points? Those are my other
Let's
ones that I
see.
liked more.
Cam Johnson. I could get behind Cam, especially with Cam Thomas coming back, like you mentioned. I don't think the
Yeah.
books have adjusted that number. So yeah, let's go lower on Cam Johnson here tonight. All right. So we'll
What
do
do they
that.
have his points at?
15.5.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we'll go Steph Curry higher on his 5 assists. Carl Anthony Towns higher 36.5 points and rebounds combined. And then we'll go Cam Johnson lower on his 15.5 points here tonight. That entry of $100 will get you a nice payout of 600 here tonight with those 3 projections for our Underdog Fantasy entry here for tonight for the Thursday schedule. All right, that is going to wrap it up for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. McKee, anything else you want to mention, my friend, before we get out of here?
No, I'm not used to these full slates, so I'm exhausted right now. Let's go.
Yeah, hour 12 in, full game of schedule, full schedule of games for tonight in the association. If you haven't already, smash that like button for us on the YouTube stream here. And if you haven't already subscribed to the NBA Gambling Podcast on YouTube, please go and hit that subscribe button for us as well. And you can follow us on Twitter as well at SGPN NBA. Make sure to follow McKee on Twitter. That's at the Ryan McKee on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter as well at SportsNerd824. We'll be back tomorrow at the usual time, 11 a.m. Eastern with Scott and Terrell. So tune in with us then. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.
Yeah.